This episode of Papa's Woodshop is brought to you by Craft Supplies USA.
Hey everybody, Jason Collins, Papa's Woodshop, and I am excited. Today is our first official episode, and we're going to turn a pin here in just a moment, but before that, I want to give a couple of quick shout outs. I am so thankful and grateful to the guys over at Craft Supplies USA. They have agreed to sponsor Papa's Woodshop. And we've got some great things planned with those guys. We're going to feature some awesome pin kits, some finishing material. They're providing us with some really cool stuff, and we're going to share that stuff with you guys. So if you're looking for a place to get any of your turning supplies, pin kits, blanks, you name it, check them out over at Craft Supplies USA. And with every video, there's going to be a link in the description to the stuff that we're working with, so it'll be really easy for you to find that stuff. The second thing I want to do is I want to give a special shout out to April Wilkerson. I'm brand new in the YouTuber, woodworker community, I guess. It's a pretty cool group of people out on YouTube, and I'm sure you guys know that. April has really stepped up and provided me with some information and really helped me make some decisions in terms of how I want to move forward with my channel and everything. So guys, if you haven't checked her out, she's super cool. She's a female woodworker. We don't have many of those, which makes it double cool. And she's a really cool chick on top of that. So she's down in Texas. I'll put a link to her channel down below so you guys can check her out. So without further ado, hey, I guess it's time that we start turning some pins, right? So the pin kit that we're going to be working with today is the Craft Supplies USA PSI Bolt-Action Bullet Pin Kit. And they were kind enough to send over a couple different versions. The pin comes in a 24 karat gold, and it also comes in a gunmetal, and I believe it also comes in chrome. But what we're going to be working with today is we're going to be working with the 24 karat gold. They also sent me one of their awesome super size walnut turning blanks, and this thing is awesome, man. It's 1 inch by 1 inch by 12 inches, and as you can see, for the bullet pin kit we only need about 3 inches, so I'll be able to get several pins out of this one blank, which is really cool. I chose to go with walnut simply because the look that I'm going for on this pin is a traditional rifle look, and I think that regular brown walnut is going to do a really good job of giving it that rifle look, because so many of the guns, hunting rifles and stuff that we see have stocks on them that are made out of dark walnut. So we've got that. We're also going to be using some of Craft Supplies USA Mahoney's finishes, and I decided not to go with a CA finish on this and just to go with a natural oil finish, because again, I really want to retain that hunting rifle look. So let's take a look at the pin kit and see what we've got here. Craft Supplies USA has several different lines, I guess, different levels of hardware that you can buy. They have their apprentice line, which is some of the least expensive or most economical pins that you can get. Great for people when they're starting out. In fact, their apprentice slimline pins, you can get them for like right around $2. So that's really economical for guys who are just getting into pin turning. And this is actually their PSI line, and I would say that this is probably their mid-grade quality. I don't know how well this is going to show up on the camera, but this is pretty cool. It's got a hunting rifle as the clip for the pin. It's got a scope on it, and then the actual mechanism of the pin works, well, if I wouldn't drop it, the actual mechanism of the pin works like a bolt-action rifle. So you move that forward to get the pin to come out, which is really cool. And then we have the nib end of the pin, which actually really looks like the end of probably a 30 caliber bullet on the end. That's really good. And this kit actually comes with a little bit different a little bit different ink cartridge than what we're used to seeing with some of the other things that we've worked with from Craft Supplies. So that's the pen kit, pretty simple. It's a single piece of wood, so we're only going to be turning one part today for this. We've also got our bushing kit, and we've also got our 3/8 inch drill bit. So we've got everything here we need to put this pen together. So let's cut a blank and get started. So we're going to go ahead and mark up our blank and cut it. And for those of you who've seen some of my other videos when we're working with the apprentice and artisan line of pen kits, we actually have to take sandpaper and scuff those tubes up before we glue them into the blank. And what's really cool about this particular kit is the tube actually comes pre-scuffed, as it were. So that's actually kind of cool. So I think probably the best thing to do, this looks like a pretty nice piece. We're going to just take our tube out of this piece right here. So we're just going to make a line there. Again, a single tube, single piece of wood. We're going to go ahead and get this cut, get it drilled, get it glued up, and put it on the lathe. So we've got our blank chucked up in our centering jig. We've got our drill bit in. So let's go ahead and drill this blank out. Good job. So now let's get the tube glued in, and we're almost ready to put this on the lathe. Alright, now we're going to be using regular CA glue for this, and as I pointed out, the tube is already roughed up. So basically all we need to do is put our tube on our makeshift tube insertion tool and give it a nice coat of CA glue, and then simply twist and insert until we get that right in, just like that. So now all we need to do is wait for this CA glue to cure, to set up. Our tube will be stuck inside the blank. We'll go ahead and trim the ends of the blank down and put this thing on the lathe and see what we've got. Alright, we've got our blank chucked up on the lathe. We're ready to start turning. We're only going to turn this at about 1350 RPMs on the old vintage Craftsman 12-inch wood lathe. So let's get started. Alright, that was quick, really close to the bushings now. Even with the time-lapse thing, I haven't been working on this for much longer than maybe a minute, maybe 2 minutes, somewhere in that neighborhood, not long at all. This is a very, very, very simple turn, guys. I mean, this, if you're looking for something to bump up from your slimline pens, I highly recommend that you go with the PSI bullet pen, because this is a really easy turn. It's going to look awesome. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and sand this one from 150 all the way up to 400 grit, and then we're going to work on the finish. What I usually do on the first sand is I keep my speed up, because I still have to take off a little bit of material, and I like to do that at a little bit faster speed, and then once I'm done with the 150, I'll bring it back down, the lathe speed back down a little lower. There, and quite honestly, that's about as close as I like to get on the 150, because the 220 is actually going to bring it down a little bit closer. The 300 and 400 grit sandpapers really just finish it out nicely. Yeah, that is feeling really good at 220. Let's bump this thing up to 320. We'll be ready to go 400, and we're about ready to put some finish on this one. There we go. Now we're on to 400. That is absolutely smooth. So let's take a look at finishing this thing. Okay, I've used a lot of different oil finishes on my pens. I've used Danish oil, I've used boiled linseed oil, I've used tung oil. Well, today we're using Mahoney's walnut oil because I thought that would lend to the natural look of the walnut that we're using on this pen. So we have Mahoney's walnut oil finish. And like all oil finishes, it recommends that you put it on, and drying time is dependent on the weather and things like that. So I won't really bore you guys with watching oil dry. So we'll put a couple of coats on, see what it looks like, and then I'll come back when it's all done. Well, there we go, guys. That is looking absolutely awesome. Let me see if I can zoom this in a little bit for you here so you guys can get an idea of what that's going to look like. That, my friends, is an awesome looking piece of wood. That's going to be gorgeous. So we're going to hit this with a couple more coats of this walnut oil, Mahoney's finish from my wonderful sponsors over at Craft Supplies USA. I'll come back and assemble the pen when we're done with finishing. So we finished our turning and our finishing with the walnut oil finish, and we're ready to put the pen together. And this is a pretty straightforward press. Because the blank is just a single piece, you can really press it in any way that you want to. And we'll go with this. Papa's makeshift pen press here on my drill press. This thing has pressed out many pens. There we go. That's the top part. I might need to press just a tad more. Alrighty. Excellent. Now we'll lower this down just a touch and press our nib end. Press our nib end in and get that straight, and that goes together just like that. So let's go over to the table, put our ink refill in, and take a look at this thing. Alrighty, we are ready to finish this pen up. Get our spring out here, and it's really just a simple matter of unscrewing the nib, popping the end off here, dropping this into the tube, putting the spring over that, fitting our nib back on. And there we have it. A bolt-action bullet pen with walnut wood. Looks just like a gun stock. and actually finished with a walnut oil finish. That's absolutely amazing, guys. So here's the thing I want you guys, I want to share this with you guys. So here's what we're going to do. I'm actually going to give this pen to one lucky subscriber. So how do you guys win? Well, it's pretty simple. Subscribe to Papa's Woodshop and comment below. Next week, we're going to select one lucky commenter from the section below. We're going to give you guys this pen. Man, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I want to thank you guys for supporting us. Remember, Craft Supplies USA, they've been cool enough to give us this stuff. We're going to share it with you guys. We really appreciate it. There is a link below to everything that we use today, so you guys can pop on over to woodturnerscatalog.com and you can check out all the neat stuff they've got. And like I said, there'll be, if you want to build one of these awesome pens for yourself or for a Christmas gift, the link below and the list will help you do exactly that, guys. Thanks again. This is Jason Papa Collins. We're signing off.